we're looking at what alternatives we may have. No, the trip was not essentially for oil. The trip was about the Middle East and about Israel and rationalization of positions. But it is a disappointment, and it says that there are problems.
That might take half a million per million.
Want some oil and gas stocks for us, but before we get to that, I sat down with the Saudi energy minister last week in Vienna, Austria. 17-minute interview, by the way. It's all up on CNBC.com. Check it out. And he basically said that they decided to cut because they're worried about the Fed, central banks, and a major economic slowdown. People can believe that or not, but that's what he said on the record. Do you believe that?
Not necessarily. When you put the math and look at it, people are rightly concerned about economic growth. If the world economy deteriorates, that might take 500,000 per million barrels a day of demand down. But if you look at the outlook, there's so many much larger issues that would outweigh that. So starting with the SPR release, that's about 1 million barrels a day that would go the other way. Russia potentially is 1 million to 2 million barrels a day. China coming out of COVID lockdowns might be another 1 million to 2 million barrels a day. So I would be less concerned about the global economy and more concerned with supply in the short run. I think that's the real danger.
Because the IMF was out today warning about a major global slowdown. That would seem to kind of play into what the Saudi energy minister was talking about, that if we have a slowdown, how much could demand get hit? And they were basically trying to get out in front of it.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Demand could come off, but so again, the supply issues are so much bigger that I think it significantly outweighs that. Going into the OPEC meeting, we felt that the market was balanced at roughly 100 million barrels a day of supply and demand. Maybe 500,000 to 1 million comes off, but you could have significantly larger amounts of supply coming off. So we think that the cut was tightens the market even more. But the bigger issue, Brian, is longer term. Oil and gas is a depleting business. The world is not spending enough money to maintain that capacity. Producers don't have the confidence in the long run. So we think that demand comes back and continues to grow over the long term, and we just might not have enough supply.
Yeah, I mean, you're hitting on such a critical story, Stan, because trillions of dollars coming out because people are talking about the energy transition, but there's absolutely no indication that the use of oil and or gas is going to go down anytime in the next decade. I mean, that seems like you're headed for a pricing train wreck. To the upside.
Exactly.
People are pretending like we're not going to use oil in the next 5 years. No, oil use is going to go up in the next 10 years. That's not me. That's the IEA, EIA, any other acronym you want to throw out.
Brian, the whole demand is still growing.
Coal demand has never been higher any time in human history.
Yes, so I think it's, we're fairly comfortable with the assumption that oil demand will grow. The issue, as you mentioned, is that suppliers are not spending enough money to meet that demand. And that's where it gets critical. And there's nothing you can do in the short run. When oil projects, the majority of them, you need 5 to 10 years of planning, and very few people are doing that.
I know what it's like to make a tough choice about pregnancy.
praise Yahweh Shem Yahshua Shalom. All praise Yahweh Shem Yahshua Bashem Rakakadash Shalom. Shalom Yahweh Shem Yahshua Bashem Rakakadash. Give all praise Yahweh Bashem Yahshua Bashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles and the men and the truth one down for this truth and knowledge, so we can learn this truth and knowledge. Tawadi Yahweh Shem Yahshua for putting the spirit of the elders and apostles and the men on down in this truth, so we can learn this truth and knowledge. Call Yahweh Bashem Yahshua Bashem Rakakadash. Give all praise Yahweh Bashem Yahshua Bashem Rakakadash. That was three videos relating to talking about OPEC cut shortages, oil shortages, pretty much ties between Saudi Arabia and U.S. Article here talks about OPEC Day. Read this. Today, OPEC nations produce about 30% of the world's crude oil. Saudi Arabia is the biggest single oil producer in OPEC, producing more than 10 million barrels a day. That's a lot of oil production. Why is OPEC cutting oil production? For example, OPEC member states cut production starting in November after gathering for the first face-to-face meeting in Vienna headquarters since the start of the 19. The group said the decision was based on the uncertainty surrounding the global economy and the oil market outlooks, for example. That's Al Jazeera report. And a lot of other facets as well, man. War in Ukraine, different things, global economy, globally, instability financially, economically, you know what I mean? It's a lot of instability, uncertainty, man. So they have to play damage control in a matter of speaking, in the areas needed. Why doesn't U.S. produce its own oil, for example? The reason U.S. oil companies haven't increased oil production is simple. They decide to use their billions in profits to pay dividends in their CEOs, wealthy shareholders, and simply haven't chose to invest in new oil production. That could be true. It could be other reasons as well. And then they look into other facets of, energy sources other than oil, fossil energy sources, and different other sources as well. So, who controls OPEC? So, Saudi Arabia, which controls 1/3 of OPEC total oil reserves, with 30% of the reserves. Playing a leading role in the organization. Other important members are Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, and UAE, United Arab Emirates, who combined the reserves are significantly greater than those of Saudi Arabia. So those three entities, as explained, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, UAE, United Arab Emirates, man. Pretty much the OPEC members. There's another video.
The White House says a decision by OPEC Plus to cut oil production is a clear sign the group is aligning with Russia. The oil cartel led by Saudi Arabia announced a cut of 2 million barrels per day, the biggest such slash in production since the start of the pandemic. The decision will likely lead to higher gas prices at the pump. President Biden is expected to order the release of 10 million barrels of fuel from reserves to try and stop that from happening. The national average for regular gas is up 7 cents since last week.
Let's get some scriptures. Let's be quick. Jeremiah 51:7. Babylon have been a golden cup in the Lord's hand. That golden cup is pretty much of everybody being influenced by that golden cup, intoxicated with the philosophy, the ways, the Western philosophy. Everybody is drunken off of it. Babylon have been that golden cup in the Lord's hand, and that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, which is the philosophies, ideologies, that Western philosophy pushed down to these other nations. Therefore, the nations are mad. The nations are mad because they realize that it isn't what it's cracked up to be, in a matter of speaking, man. They realize it's a farce. They realize a lot of falsehood and falsity behind it, man. Number 8. Babylon is suddenly fallen, destroy. How for her? Take bomb. Bomb is an ointment. Take bomb for her pain. If so, she may be healed. So if she would be healed, she could be healed, but she can't be healed, man. And balm is an ointment for what? Pain. So she can't be healed, man. 59. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go, everyone, into his own country, man. For her judgment reaching into the heavens and lifted up even to the skies, where the Lord remembers Sabaoth, man. So the Lord remembers her judgments, man. Arise ye, depart, for this is not a place of your rest. It is polluted. What's polluted? Babylon. It shall destroy even with a sword destruction, man. So we have to separate, because if not, you're going to partake her judgments. And everyone's going to lead to her country. So the Lord remembers her for her judgment and reaching to the heavens, man. So the Lord remembers the wickedness and things that has been done relating to Babylon, man. Get Isaiah. Let me see. Isaiah 14:10. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? So they becoming weak, man. That hegemony, which is sovereignty and power, is becoming to deteriorate. It's becoming to break down, man. Okay. Number 11. Thy pomp, which is a splendid display, thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of the vials, and the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. And that's deterioration, decay, man. And that's what's happened, internally, externally, man. The decay is setting in relating to Babylon, man. It's showing weakness, man. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? And that's the ones the carnal counterpart on earth is talking about. Sons of the morning, how art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? Because these nations follow after Babylon. And that's why these nations are mad, man. They realize it's all a farce, man. It's a falsehood, man. Leasing, falsehood, lies, man. For thou hast said in thy heart, which is the mind, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God, and I will sit upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. So that's that pride being risen up, man. For thy pride have deceived thee, relating to Obadiah, man. Because they had that God complex, man. The word is megalomania, man, which means like pretty much a Messiah type complex, man, a godlike complex, man. And I will ascend above the above the heights of the clouds, and I will be like the Most High. So the goal is they trying to be like God, man. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. So the Lord's going to bring them down, man. For they build, relating to Malachi, they build, but I will bring down, man. Number 16. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, so they're going to look at them a certain way. Is these, going ahead of myself, is these that, is this the man that made earth tremble? They were once in a position of power, man, where fear. They were a hammer of the earth. The hammer is a tool, instrument of cruelty. They that see thee shall nearly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the whole earth to tremble, that did shake the kingdoms, man? Get that scripture, hammer of the earth. In Jeremiah 50 and 22, how is the hammer of the earth is cut asunder and broken? That hammer is what? The power of that hammer, is the sword, man. The one that took peace from the earth, that great sword. Revelation 6 and 4. Their military might's part of that hammer, man. How is the hammer of the earth is cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among nations, man? So that power structure, that hegemony, that sovereignty of power, that great power, how has it become desolate, man? 24. I have laid a snare for thee, a trap. Thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou waste not aware. Thou art found, and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord. So ultimately, the Lord is the one that took them down. Babylon, man. The Lord is the one that put Babylon in position of power, and the Lord is going to be the one that is going to take Babylon down, man. That word is striven means to make great efforts to achieve or attain something. So their efforts to achieve is to maintain their power, man, and defeat Yahweh B'Shem Yoshab, man. To struggle or fight vigorously, man, which they will lose miserably, because according to the scriptures, they will lose miserably. Their common goal is to stay in power. Their attempt, their endeavor, their aim. Their aim is what? To continue on, man, in position of power, man. Let me get this one real quick. The inward thought is their mind, that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. So their houses, position of power, the inward thought saying they will continue forever. Scripture talks about Revelations 18, I sit a queen, I shall see no sorrow, man. So that's that pride and through that pride, that believe that it will continue to rule, man. Their inward thoughts is that in their houses they shall continue forever, in their dwelling places to all generations. And they call the lands after their own names, because they conquered it using the sword, man. Their blessings the sword. By thy sword thou shalt live, man. So those places they took over, they named it after themselves. But it talks about them continuing through their believing in their hearts and minds that they will continue to rule. Let me get one. Revelation 17 and 16. This will be the last one. Go to 7 and 16. To the point. 15 and 16. Which said it, and he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore that sitteth on people, multitude of nations, tongues. That's Babylon, man. When she said EU and NATO, EU, NATO, that's the combination, that conglomerate, man. And the 10 horns which thou saw is the beast that these shall hate the whore, man. And these are the allied nations that are going to ultimately turn against her, man. And shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. And that's ultimately these nations turning against her, using what? Revelations 11 and 14. The second woe has come, and the third woe cometh quickly, man. So these nations are going to turn against her, man. All the nations, man. And this is something short, I hope. Hope it helps in some way. Give all praise Yahweh, Bashem Yoshua, Bashem Rakakadash. Shalom.